You're sweet things. Okay, you don't have to. It's something songs. Hi, everybody. As you're coming in, we're just going to let people join us for a couple minutes. We know we sent out a couple links that were suspicious and didn't quite work. So we'll let everyone get here, but thanks for joining us, and we'll start in a minute or two.
I, I think we're already more than last year. 83 people.
I know, it's the text. I'm telling you, when we send out the right link, it's helpful. All right, we'll give about 30 more seconds. We still have people joining us. Thanks again for making the time. What do you think? We're at like 90. Should we start?
That's a lot of
Yes,
people.
great.
Do
Excited.
it.
A couple more coming in. All right. All right. Well, it is 1:03. I think we'll get started. I know some of you are on your lunch break, probably don't have a ton of time. So we do want to make the best use of the time you've shared with us today. Thank you for joining us. We are here for a couple of reasons today. One is just to introduce ourselves if you're new to the Galvin or haven't met us or are just curious. The members of the leadership team, all four of us are here today to speak with you. So we'll do some introductions in a minute. And the second is just to give some pretty general information about school, what's coming. If you are a veteran of the Galvin, if you know your way around this place, if your kids have been here many years, you might find as we go through this that it's not particularly brand new information for you. And it's fine. We will not be offended if you need to go and do something else during the call. Or if you discover that you kind of know a lot of the information, no problem. We are not giving out homeroom assignments and all those things I know you're all eagerly waiting for on this call, but we'll tell you a bit about the timeline for that information. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. We do realize we sent out some links that didn't quite work, so glad you all found us. We're kind of new to the text link world, but I see that it worked because we have a lot of people here today, which is really exciting. So as I said, the main goal of today is just to have you get to know us, who we are, what to expect from the Galvin as a school. And we have gotten the feedback over the years that the school feels really big to people. And that's not surprising because it is in fact very big. It's a big school. It's 1,100 students. And we recognize that students come from elementary schools that are much smaller. Or if you're moving here from a school outside the district, it was likely smaller than this school. But we sometimes hear that people aren't quite sure who we are as the leaders of the building, what we're about, and kind of like how to find us. So we wanted to start off the year by talking directly with you. So on that note, we'll start with some introductions. Start with me. So my name's Megan Webb. I'm the principal here. This is my 5th year at the Galvin. We're going into my 5th year. So I've had a lot of time to get to know the community at this point, and I love it. This is a great place to be if you're new to the Galvin. Hopefully you'll find that it's a really warm and wonderful community. Sorry, some guests coming in here. All right, guys. My own children have a break from camp, so they popped in for a moment. Don't mind us. Um, but you'll see them. My own children are here in this picture. So a little bit about me. I've been at the Galvin for 5 years. I've been in education for 24 years. I've been a principal in Boston public schools. I've run nonprofit organizations in Boston, and I was a teacher. I taught high school in Montgomery County, Maryland. I taught English. So my heart is in the humanities, as you'll see is true for some other members of our administrative team. I am the parent of two great kids, a third grader and a kindergartner. My husband is also a teacher, so we're constantly in the world of education. And I love middle school. And you'll find that among the four of us that you'll meet, we love this age group, even though many people do not. And it's okay if you are one of the people who is mystified by this age group. It is a really special time. I love that kids are still very curious. They're so kind. They're still enthusiastic about learning. They're still just have full of questions. And we know that as they get older and older, that sometimes gets closed off from us. But in middle school, they're still chatting us up all the time, which is really great. I included a couple photos here, one of my family over a vacation last month. Seems like 100 years ago. And then one I think is funny because I had a student, if you can see the picture in kind of the upper left, a student came to me and said, "There's graffiti in the bathroom here at the Galvin." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, let me come see." But the graffiti she was talking about were all these notes, and you can't see the language on the notes, but it was all like affirmative statements and like girl power statements, like cheering on the girls who were going into the bathroom and looking in the mirror. And it was just a nice moment of just middle schoolers. They can be so sweet and support each other and want to be there for each other in a nice way. The other photo I have is of our staff versus student basketball game, which is one of my very favorite traditions here. Happens in March. The staff always wins. So sorry for all of your children. My Wakefield favorites include Blue Moon, Sakura, spend all my money there, and all of the traditions and community that we have here at the Galvin.
All right, I think I'm up. I'm up next. Hi everyone. Thanks for taking the time today to join us on the Zoom here. My name's Andrew Tetrault. I am the seventh and eighth grade assistant principal. We call that the upper house, if you're not familiar. This is my 20th year at the Galvin, which is hard to believe, but that is actually true. So, but the last 13 years I've been the in this particular role as the assistant principal. My family over there in top left, I think it's top left for you guys too, right? We live in Andover. I got a freshman now. He's at the high school, and then I have a seventh grader daughter there. So I am living the middle school life, kind of like the rest of you all, and it is fun and frustrating all in the same sentence. Not only as someone who works in middle school, but a parent of middle schoolers. I know what's happening. So, but that all being said, I love everything about this age group. Always have best part of I think the K through 12 saga that kids go through is this time. A lot happened, a lot of changes. Those little fifth graders coming to us was so little. And then I think about the eighth graders when they leave and they're walking across, getting their moving on certificate. They are high school ready. So, and everything in between. A couple of the pictures that we threw there, a couple of our events, kind of our bigger celebrations that we do. I think we try really hard, as Megan said, to be a big community, a big family here that functions at the Galvin, and then we always are encouraging kids to take some of the core values that we have here and bring them back out to the community and be good representatives of our school. And so that's kind of me and here what we do. Wakefield favorites, Greenwood, Maple Way. That was kind of my growing up stomping grounds. Billy's roast beef, obviously Wakefield nuts, Melrose, and a couple of the others there. So I'm going to pass it on, I think, to Greg. I think you're up next, right?
Yes, sir. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Hurley. I am the other assistant principal here. I'm grades 5 and 6. And so we call that the lower house. So I have all of our new incoming fifth graders. I know a lot of our fifth graders also have older siblings. So fun that we have lots of new Galvin generals who are going to be here looking up to their older siblings who may be moving on to the upper house at this point. I've been working in schools for 21 years now. I started as a social studies high school teacher in Malden, worked in central office administration there, worked in central office administration at the Andover Public Schools for a couple of years before I came here. This is only my second year in Wakefield, so Mr. Tetrell, Ms. Webb, not nearly as much time, but I have come to love this place quite a bit. I live in Reading. You can see my family there. I also have a middle schooler. I have a seventh grader, Graham, at home. And I have a third grader, Maeve, who's in third grade. And then my wife, Molly, is also an ESL teacher. So just like Megan, our house is full of talking about school and education all the time. Um, I, I often tell people if I could go back and do my career trajectory all over again, I'd start my career working in middle school. I absolutely love working with this age group for a lot of the reasons that Megan and Andrew already articulated. Just they are always willing to take risks with their learning, and they're always so enthusiastic and enjoy learning and being part of a community like we have here at the Galvin. It really is inspirational. I didn't write my Wakefield favorites on the slide, but I still love Fred's Franks. I am, dropping a single tear for Brothers now that they've closed. It was very sad. And as always, love walking and running around the lake. So I'm going to pass it over to my friend, Miss Perillo, at this point.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Perillo. It's really nice to see all of you. I see some familiar faces and some new faces. So thank you for joining us. Like Mr. Hurley, I am starting my second year here at the Galvin, and I'm so excited to be on this adventure with all of you. I have been in education for quite some time. I started out in 2005 in Syracuse, New York, working in an integrated preschool setting. And from there, I missed my family and wanted to come back home to Massachusetts. Thank you for your comment, Roll Tide. We do have a dog named Sabin. I'll get to that in 1 second. And so I joined Medford Public Schools. I worked in a sub-separate classroom as a therapeutic classroom teacher. From there, I went on to be a team chair, so coordinating IEP meetings and services at the middle school level. And then I went on to be a coordinator of special education in Medford, and I've been here in that role since last year. We also live in Wakefield, and my daughter Emma turned 10 this summer, and she'll be joining us in fifth grade this year. So I know all of you parents that have fifth graders starting out, I can feel that stress too as a parent, but I think it's a good thing, and I think that they'll do wonderful things here. We are avid football fans. We do have a dog named Sabin, and I think the best part about being in middle school is just exactly what my colleagues have said, is being with the kids, getting to know them, reminding them that they can do hard things, and to instill confidence. Students first, always for me, and I'm so excited to get to work with all of you.
Ms. Webb, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Rusty, we were saying we're a little rusty at the Zoom. We've had a nice summer. Anyway, we wanted to start it with those introductions because, again, the school's very big. It can be difficult to know where to start, especially if you're new to us. And so we wanted to let you know that we too are parents, we are humans, we are navigating these things with our own children. And so you can always feel free to come to any of us as a starting point for any question you have. We're happy to help you figure out how to get the answers that you need. And today we're going to go through just a few basic things about logistics of student life, kind of how the school works. And we did have a survey with a couple questions about after school and homework, and so we'll cover some of those topics. If you joined us a little late, I'll repeat that this is what's coming now is a pretty baseline, basic description of a day-to-day here at the Galvin. So if you have children who have been here for years, it might not be super engaging for you. You're welcome to pop on and off as you need to. We know you're all busy through your days. All right, so first day logistics, the questions we get the most this time of year is just kind of like, how does it work when I drop my student off at school? And people sometimes feel silly asking that, but I have that same anxiety about my own children. Like, where do I put them when we get to school on the first day? So the first thing I'll say is that physically where you can find the four of us, I stand at the front entrance of the building. Mr. Hurley and Ms. Perillo are at the North Ave Plaza, or the fifth grade entrance. It's kind of at the north end North Ave end of the building. And Mr. Tetrault stands at the community doors, which are kind of the auditorium doors, if you're familiar with the building from other events. So you can always physically find us in the kind of melee of the drop off and pickup if you need us. But essentially what happens is that students make their way to specific parts of the building depending on their grade level. So if you have fifth grade students, they're going to come to the North Ave doors, which again are down by North Avenue. There's a plaza there. And they'll see Mr. Hurley. He's hard to miss, so you can see him there and gather there. Sixth graders also gather there or kind of towards the main entrance because they can enter through either door when the bell rings. Grade 7 stands in front of the building, and grade 8 goes down by the community entrance. And that just allows us to kind of get 1,100 people through the doors in a reasonable amount of time. Students who come on the buses come through a back driveway. So there's a driveway behind the school that lets students out, and those students come through the back and then find their designated spot to wait. And then we do have some students who need to get breakfast in the morning. So for whatever reason, they don't have breakfast at home, they come into the cafeteria as early as 7:15. The first bell rings at 7:40. That's when students kind of come in from the outside, and homeroom starts at 7:45.
All right. Again, for some of you who may have lived this last year, right, fifth, sixth, seventh grade families, and now they've moved on. But for newer families coming in here that are, they've got some fifth graders, middle school starts to feel a little bit different during the day, right? You may even remember from your own childhood that, elementary, you're in that class all day long. You have that same teacher, and you go through your math and your ELA and your spell, like maybe spelling back then, right? So reading. It's a little different at the middle school. So we actually have 7 periods, 7 different classes that happen throughout a kiddo's schedule. And so everyone will start off in homeroom, like Ms. Webb said, and then we will go through our 7 periods. And this is a schedule, kind of like a master schedule you're seeing for all the different grades. So you can kind of figure out where your kid may fall. If you've got a fifth grader or a seventh grader or an eighth grader, you can kind of see right down in a column what their day will look like. You'll notice that there are colors in this schedule. And so if you are a sixth grader, you'll see that their color is light green. When that green happens, that's actually when they're going to go out to their specialist blocks, right? And so our specialists are, you think like your art, your music, your phys ed, world language, health, STEM, depending on whatever grade you might be in. So that's when those kids will go out to those specialist classes. So you can kind of see when that all happens throughout the day there. And again, some of the times you'll see that the classes are about 49 minutes long, 50 minutes roughly. And those yellow blocks are when your kiddo will have lunch. Sometimes you might have an earlier lunch if you're a seventh grader, or it might be a little bit later as a sixth grader. But also know that throughout the day, the middle of the day, that we have built-in snack time for students to make sure that they, if they need a quick little snack while they're working, we call it kind of a working snack, a productive snack. So if they need it, that there are times in the day for that. All right, I think you're up.
Now, so I know this is one of the things, magical things that everybody's eagerly waiting for on us. The 4 of us have been working at this all summer, and just figuring out team placement, team assignments, homeroom assignments. We are putting the finishing touches on that. So by the end of this week, we should be ready to go. We're aiming for Friday to be the magical day, barring any technological issues that come up in the meantime. And we all know if you've ever tried to log into PowerSchool, that's always a possibility. But the reason we take so long is we want to make sure that we put every kid in the right spot and set them up for success. You can see there are a list of things that we take into account when we're building our teams and figuring out which matches of kids and matches of teachers and needs of what everybody needs to make sure that we have really strong teams across every grade level on every team. So we've really spent a lot of time this summer taken a lot of input from many of you, from teachers, both elementary school teachers for our fifth graders and previous year teachers for our sixth, seventh, and eighth graders. And then looking at the big picture of what is going to be best for each one of these kids. And that's been our driving goal ever since is really just what is going to be best for every single one of our kids, set them up for the most success this year. And so hopefully by the end of this week, barring any technology issues that arise in the next 2 days, we will be able to get you all your schedules and your team and homeroom assignments by the end of the week.
So, as Greg mentioned, we did spend a tremendous amount of time this summer working really hard to ensure that all of the individual needs of our students were accounted for and recommendations based from grade level staff that either had them the prior year or the sending schools to really make sure that all of our kiddos are placed appropriate. Then up comes the next question that I know so many students are asking, including my own kiddo, is where am I going to be? What will it look like? Will I have friends on my team? What if I don't like my team? Can I change my team? What if my schedule doesn't look right? So what I like to remind everybody is anxiety or sort of that nervousness is real and it's expected for all of us during transition. Me especially, you'd think 22 years in, you wouldn't feel nervous on the first day, but I still do each year before the school year starts. So I think just normalizing it and letting them know that we all are apprehensive about change, but there's positive things for change, and that as adults, I think as long as we show that we're okay with change, I think a lot of times kiddos feel better with change. I think a lot of it too is about maintaining or sort of developing new friendships when we talk about these changes that are coming along. So I think reminding our kiddos that we'll meet new friends, you'll see your old friends. There's time in the school day to be with our friends at lunch and at specials, and just most importantly to breathe, and that will make new friends all throughout the school year.
All right, so we kind of assembled the top questions we get at the start of every year to create this presentation. And one of the questions that we get, particularly with recent legislation and what's been in the news recently, is around cell phones and watches at the middle school. So we are lucky and a little proud of ourselves that we were a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of the banning of cell phones and communication technology in schools. If you've been following the news, you know that the state has adopted legislation that will ban cell phones in schools starting in the fall of 2026. But this is like old news to us. It's old news to any of you who have been at the Galvin. It's something that we identified as a issue we wanted to tackle 2 years ago now, I believe, 2 years ago now. So we have this, we're going into our third year. Is that right, Andrew? Our third year with the Yonder pouch, I think. I believe so.
Yeah. We had a trial and yeah.
Yeah, we did the pilot. Yes. Okay. So we're going into our third year with the Yonder pouch, which is literally just a pouch that you put your cell phone in. It locks. Every student will get one within the first couple weeks of school. They keep it with them. It goes in their backpack, which goes in their locker. And it's a system that we've used for a couple years and has been really successful here. So the expectation for cell phones in middle school is that they are off and away throughout the school day. That includes smartwatches. So anything that can communicate. If students bring them to school, they just need to go in the pouch, get locked away, and put in the locker. Again, this is our third year with really strong and consistent expectations here. So students who have been with us know this, and it's not an issue. And those coming up from fifth grade, I know had a very similar expectation in elementary school. The consequences that come along with students who might really struggle with this, which to be honest, in middle school, particularly in the younger grades, is a very small percentage of our students. But if a student does have one of these devices with them, we take it to the main office, we'll notify you, and you can come pick that device up. If it's something that's repeatedly a problem, then we're going to tailor some more individual supports to your student and work with you on that. Again, the kind of blanket policy of using the Yonder pouch has eliminated a lot of the stress around this for parents and for staff here. So we're kind of excited just to keep going with that policy. All students have access to the office phone and they do use it. We have students in and out of the main office. There's a phone right on the counter. And yes, we do teach them if they don't know how to use an old traditional phone. We'll teach them how to dial. We'll teach them how to hold the receiver. And we're very well versed in doing that at this point. And so they're always welcome to use it if they feel they need to reach you. Likewise, you can always call the main office if you feel you need to reach them. If your child has a medical condition or a need that's really unique that might require them to have access to their phone, you can let us know that. And we do have specialized pouches for them, and we can kind of go over that with you if that's a concern of yours.
I, correct me. And we're also going to email this out, the slideshow to parents,
Yes.
right? Yes. All right.
Yes.
So know that, yeah, you're all are going to get access to this. And there's a couple of links in here that we just wanted to put out there. Ms. Webb talked about the current legislation that's coming. Some of you probably already know. There was a Surgeon General's report that went out in 2023, which I started digging through a little bit this summer, just kind of fascinating with it. And there's also a book, when maybe we can get that in there, that I have continued to kind of dust off. And I know, Ms. Webb, you're shaking your head, the Anxious Generation book, if some of you may have seen it or read it or whatnot, but I highly recommend it. And of course, living it, like I said, with my own 14-year-old and 13-year-old. Like I said, I've got a daughter who's in seventh grade. She doesn't have a phone yet, and it is a relentless reminder that she doesn't have a phone at the dinner table for me. And so we also put there's a link about wait until eighth. There's kind of a movement with that. We get it. We get it as parents. We get it as educators. And it's funny. I think the more that as this is, we are having kids come through in a generation in which they've grown up with cell phones and technology. It's hard, it's different. It's like, yes, there's definite positives about it, but then there's also at the same time as adults, we're scratching our heads going like, what are we doing? This is not okay either. So I think here at school, just know that one, they've got access if there's an emergency and they need to get in touch with you or you need to get in touch with them, we can do it. We have phones, we can figure that out. But in a school that we're trying to capture kids' engagement and instruction and getting them to focus in the moment as middle school kids, we want to make sure that we're trying to eliminate as many of those distractions as possible, and phones and the watches really are. And so we're going to try to make sure that we stay on top of that this year and just try to help kids be in the best place to show their best while they're here. And so we'll send out some of the stuff and some other tidbits, maybe even throughout the year, to just help families and parents out. But if you have questions about it, like Ms. Webb said, please email, call, reach out. We want to try to partner with you guys.
All right, so some important people for you all to know at the various grade levels are our tremendous support staff. They are the ones that you can reach out to as far as just your daily support questions, your concerns around your students. What can we do if my child is nervous? Those kind of pieces. We have such a tremendous staff here. We are kind of centrally split between lower house and upper house, yet we still all work together concisely. And so we have Miss Blyden and Miss Hart that are at our 5th and 6th grade level for lower house. We have Miss Lauren and Mr. Cedrone up for upper house. And then we also have 2 full-time school psychologists, Miss Boyd and Miss Hersman, that work, both with general education and special education on support needs and also for evaluative measures. We also have Miss McIsaac, who is one of our counselors within our therapeutic program, Miss Melanson, our school nurse, Miss Duarte for MECO, and then we also have Officer Kelly here with Sammy, which is a great asset to all of our students. I know all of our kids really look forward to seeing Sammy every day, and so that's a nice added bonus. And then, of course, our office staff, Miss Delano and Miss Turfree, those will be probably names and faces that your kids will be super familiar with, and you will too, as far as pick up and drop off, and then also Miss Noble, who's here as well.
All right, lunchtime.
Mhm.
Our favorite time of the day. 22 minutes of joy with all your kids every day. Last year when I was brand new and fresh and a little green under the collar, didn't know anything, like, 22 minutes for lunch. That doesn't seem like very long. Trust me, it's plenty of time. They finish eating their lunch in about 6 minutes. It's incredible to me how fast they eat. We saw the lunch times earlier with on the schedule. And so some kids eat early, some kids eat late. We understand that. And so we built in some snack times. Again, free lunches this year for everybody. So you will have a lunch code that you need to enter, just like always, if you're a 5th grader coming up. You're going to get a new code. We'll make sure you guys all get those. The 5th grade teachers and myself will work with you guys those first week of school or so to just make sure that Everybody knows their lunch code when they go in. They know where they're supposed to be sitting. We'll do a full cafeteria orientation um, those first couple of days of school. You can see that by the picture here, those are the old tables. Those are gone. We have some beautiful new tables here. It's set up a little different. Those of you who were here last year, it's going to look very similar to last year, but that is not what it looks like anymore. We have nice new tables in there. We have vending machines. We have feelings about vending machines, but the vending machines still do exist here at the Galvin. So they are somewhat available during lunch. They're a little confusing to use. And so we would recommend that if someone wants to use the vending machine, they try to do so, learn how to do it before or after school. So that way they can figure out the procedure, because at lunch, while that 22 minutes, they do eat in 6 minutes, it still evaporates pretty quickly. We go outside if it's nice enough. Whenever we can. If the weather's cooperating, we'll have to give everyone a little bit of a fresh air break, where each of the four of us takes on a lunch, and we will, sit in the cafeteria or be in the cafeteria with the kids. And then when it seems most of the kids are at a place where we can start to head outside, we walk down the hallway down to the basketball courts in the field out next to the gym, give the kids to throw some basketballs on the court, give the kids a chance to just do a little bit of unstructured free play. We all know it's good for them, all good for them to burn some energy. So they get out there, burn some energy on the fields or on the court, talk to their friends, have a little bit of social time, and then get right back in and get back to class. And so we pack a lot into those 22 minutes there, get back in here, get the cafeteria ready for the next grade level. So you can see the 4 lunch times down there at the bottom. Again, 7th grade tends to have a lunch a little later, a lunch very early in the day, so they sometimes have a snack later. And 6th grade has a snack earlier in the day because they're waiting until 1 o'clock for their lunch. Changes every year for the kids, so it's different for them. But we're sticking with this pretty consistent, because it did, well, to the outside, 10:24 seems like an early lunch. It did work really well last year for all 4 grades in terms of that timing.
All right, I think it's me. After school opportunities, this was a question that came up in our survey that we sent out. Some people just want a little bit more information, right? So middle school, we're kind of that hybrid in between elementary, right, and high school. Our high school, usually kids are after school sports and clubs and whatnot, or they're working and they can kind of figure it out after school. Elementary has a lot of after school care and happens. And so in our world, we do have opportunities after school for students to still get plugged into various clubs and extracurricular events. And so one of the things we will showcase is Wakefield Academy. Wakefield Academy is alive and well after school here. Estelle Burdick is still in charge of kind of the overseeing of the whole district, and we have our site manager here, who I believe is Miss G, maybe. I think Miss Gregorio is still a part of that. And so kids can be a part of after school Wakefield Academy and be supervised until well into the evening. They're usually here until like 5, 6 o'clock. But then if students just want to be a part of like a little session, a lot of sessions are run through Wakefield Academy, and they are usually done by like 6-week sessions in the fall and the season. And so a brochure will come out, and you'll get an email advertising all the different opportunities that a kiddo could do. We've had things from anime to Dungeons and Dragon to sewing to we've had a cornhole, we've had oh my God, I mean,
Pickleball.
pickleball, that's right. We've had a multitude of different sessions that sometimes run in the fall, and then they don't run in the winter, and something new happens. And so you're just going to want to make sure that you keep an eye out for those emails that come out that are offering the different sessions that are happening. Our school, the Galvin, also has clubs. And so some of those clubs will be like our Best Buddies Club is an opportunity that meets. We have what are the clubs? We have our Drama Theater Club. We have
Newspaper.
newspaper. Yep, we've got a newspaper club. We also have homework clubs that run for the various houses. So there's also those options, which we will communicate as well, to make sure that people know that there are things that kids can do after school here. Across our field, you may know that we have a Boys and Girls Club, which is housed at the old Civic Center. And so some of our students will use that as an option for after school care and supervision. The Boys and Girls Club works pretty closely with us. We know them. We'll go over and say hi sometimes. And if they need anything, they kind of reach out to us. But there are, like I said, some organized stuff for supervision after school. Teams and teachers will also sometimes run little homework informal sessions. And so sometimes you might need to email a teacher and say like, hey, my kid's struggling or may need a little extra help in math or whatever it might be. There's a test coming up and you want to do a little session after school. All you have to do is just reach out to your student's teacher and email them and see if you can set something up. But there is a wide range
Patrick,
of
for
opportunities. Ooh. There's a wide range of opportunities for kids to be alive and well here in the school.
Is this one me?
I couldn't remember if this was you or me, but I think it's yours, Greg, and then I'm the
Okay.
next one.
So this is 3 sources of information. You're going to, once you get your team assignments and you see your schedule, your kids see their schedule, the teams here are fantastic at keeping you all in the loop with what's going on. You'll get regular emails, newsletters, whatever they call them, sent to you over email frequently. As always, you can always reach out to those teachers as well. The 4 of us on this call, we're always available as well. Every week, we'll send out a weekly communication. We're really trying to truncate that a little bit and make sure it's streamlined right to the point because we know that your time is valuable and we don't want to give you 25 pages to have to read just to catch up. So we're going to really focus this year on trying to make sure we're right to the point, giving you the essential information you need for each week, one to the next. Then on our website, we have our daily bulletin that's posted. Miss Delano does an amazing job with that, getting it out every single day. So if there's any information that you need to know for like a quick, short daily update on what's going on, know what the menu is for tomorrow, that's always right there on the website too. So 3 quick places, and then you can always reach out to the 4 of us. We're always available.
I think the next one is just really important to think about how we can stay involved as families and caregivers. I know that it's the first thing I just want to remind you all as families is please feel free to reach out via email directly to your students' classroom teachers. They are probably the primary source of information relative to any questions that you might have, maybe about if it's a missing assignment or maybe if it's homework or maybe there's an upcoming project or you just have a question before coming to us, which is not to say that you can't, but I feel like parents often forget that maybe I can email the teachers and it's really okay. The other thing is PowerSchool is a great source of information. It has lots of information relative to how students are doing. The only thing I like to caution you all is if you don't see something or it looks kind of maybe, oh no, my student's failing, or what about these test and quiz grades? They do update them every 1 to 2 weeks, but it's not always like perfectly on par for what exactly your student's grade is. So don't fear if it kind of fluctuates in PowerSchool. And again, please feel free to reach out to staff with any questions or concerns. And the only other last thing is we have a super strong, wonderfully engaging PTO here that really helps out our families, our staff, our students. They coordinate our night spots for our kids with our administrative staff. And it's just a lovely way to support how families can stay involved here. So just another way to think about for information or sources of support that you may need over the course of the year.
And I believe it's the last, I think the next slide is the last slide. Yes, thanks. It says, and do you have any questions? One question that I know we saw in the survey, the pre-survey we sent out was around homework and how much time you should expect your child to be spending on homework. That's always a tricky question for us to answer because what my child might spend on a math assignment might be very different than what Greg's child would spend on that same math assignment. However, you will see in our handbook and then also communicated by teams that there's typically like a range of time that's expected to be dedicated to homework each night, and we try to be consistent with that across grades. So while it's hard to say, oh, it'll be exactly 30 minutes, you can, if you're at any point in the year finding the homework load to not be within what you would feel is kind of like the general acceptable range or expected range, I should say, reach out to the teacher and find out, because it could be that your child's having difficulty with the assignment and could use a little extra support. It could be that maybe they're not writing down their assignments and you think they have none. So there could be little problems to solve within that bigger question of, is my child spending the right amount of time on homework? We also got a couple questions about like, when is the best time for my child to do homework? It's hard for us to answer that as well, because you all have such busy schedules with your kids. They're doing hockey and soccer and gymnastics and all of the things. But I think carving out time when you know will be kind of a dedicated time for your child to look through their assignment book, figure out if they need to do stuff for the next day, and just have that be as consistent as possible, which we know we're all parents. You can't do it the same time every day with the way that that kids' schedules run. But if that's something you're struggling with in the year, yes, as Lauren said, reach out to the teacher, reach out to us, and we can kind of help support with that through the year. And I do see there's a couple questions in the chat, so feel free to put any questions you have in there.
Yeah, the first question was about the 3-ring binder for fifth graders. Does that go home, or does that kind of stay
It
here?
does go home with them. They do keep a lot of their school stuff and homework in there. So most kids, I find, as Greg and I have like perused the fifth grade hallway, they are really bulky and they're really large. And I myself have also been putting Emma's supplies together, thinking, how is this all going to fit? But the binder is usually carried outside of the backpack, or you have a really big backpack that they can all cram it in. And relative to that, also the fifth grade teachers will work with them on organization of their lockers and how to kind of figure out what materials they need. But yes, they do all need it, and they take it home day to day. So just make sure to remind them, and we'll remind them as well.
The other question I see is where can we find information about overnight field trips? So the 6th grade goes to camp, Nature's Classroom, in October. So that information was shared kind of back in March. But the upcoming trips for 7th and 8th in the spring are New York and DC, and we are hopeful to get those meetings underway in September so that you can get that information. Quebec. That information went out to rising 7th and 8th graders last year. So if you have specific questions around one of those particular trips, you can reach out to the relevant administrator. We can help you with that. New York and DC, again, we haven't communicated about that yet, so you haven't missed anything.
Yeah, great question about breakfast. Breakfast, yep, does happen. We open those doors at 7:15, and we really don't open them up earlier than that because we got to try to get the school ready, and there's really no one there to supervise either. But breakfast is available starting at 7:15, and then we shut it down like 7:35-ish, and just so we can start getting the kids ready to go to homeroom, or else they'll just keep eating breakfast all day long.
The assignment books. Go ahead, Greg.
Assignment books and the WEF calendars, they are in the main office. And so if you want to pop by, Ms. Delano, Ms. Turfree are here. So as long as the school's open, one of them is here, you can see them and they'll get you set up with those.
And the breakfast is a mix. Sometimes they'll have those Eggo bags with like either, like the little handheld bites. Sometimes they always have donuts. They always have some cold cereal. It's kind of a hit or miss.
Breakfast is also free, as is lunch. So Massachusetts continues to support free lunch in schools. So that will continue this year.
Bus schedules, I don't think they've come out yet. They haven't been finalized. That is run through central office, and the person of contact is Deirdre Sandinato. Correct me if I'm wrong. Deirdre Sandinato. Yes, that's correct. All right. And so if you have questions about that, please feel free to email them. You can also email the main office here too, and if we can try to help point you in the right direction for bus questions.
Yeah, and you can reach out directly to Deirdre. She will also be the one sending the bus schedules once they're ready. Given free meals, should we add money to the My School Bucks? So they don't need it for lunch and breakfast. That the students use that for the vending machine. So that's kind of a conversation for you to have with your child. They will spend all of your money on that vending machine, so you probably want to set some expectations. The vending machine does have kind of healthy-ish snacks. It's not a bunch of sugar, no sugary drinks, but kids get very excited about it. So it's a good conversation to have about how much they're spending. That will come out of their My School Bucks account. If you don't want them using the vending machine, you don't need to put any money in there.
And we do pizza, Lisa's Pizza, right, on Wednesdays. I used to say
Yep.
Friday, but it's Wednesdays. And if you want a second slice, that comes from money. You have to pay for the second helping, the second
Yes. Oh,
slice.
good
Good
point.
point.
Yep.
Yeah.
If your child wants a second slice, which many of them do, that'll be my school bucks as well. The vending machines do take cash as well and credit cards, but that's not entirely relevant to our population.
The other thing that we did last year at the fifth grade level was we had vending machine days so that not all kids had access to the vending machine every single day just because it added to the chaos in the cafeteria. And so I think, Greg, we'll probably do something
Yeah,
similar
we're
for
gonna
fifth
do that
grade.
again.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
probably gonna be we do a slow roll into all things cafeteria with fifth grade. We learn one step at a time. They pick it up quick, but if we try and throw too much at one time, it gets a little overwhelming for everybody. So vending machines, we're going to ease into that. We're going to spend our time learning how to use them because they are a little bit confusing to use.
And the vending machines, I will say we joke about them, but they are very useful to kids who stay after school, might want a little snack, or they're at theater rehearsal or what have you. It's helpful. They have a place to grab a snack if they need to when the cafeteria is not open.
First day of school. So we have fifth grade orientation just for new fifth graders is on August 27th in the afternoon. That information runs separately. The official first day of school is Tuesday, September 2nd. Be here, 7:40, right at the entrance. We'll be ready to go.
Great. Thank you all for joining us. So I see another quick question. Beginning school supplies. The school supply list went out with our letter, and I know Ms. Delano sent it out a bit before our letter went out. So they should bring the supplies on that list to school. That's a suggested list. If there's something you can't get, you can just let us know, and we can help support with that. In terms of our communication from here, can expect that communication regarding team placement at the end of this week. And within that email, you'll also see all of the forms that you always have to fill out. Most of them, thank goodness, have moved to online, but our nurses form is still a paper form. So you'll see all of that. And if you don't want to print out that nurses form, we'll also send it home hard copy at the start of school. You'll get a lot of information in that email. And so if you have questions following that, it will remind you of all the dates upcoming and all of the activities that are coming up for particularly in fifth and eighth grade. So you can feel free to reach out to us if you have questions after you see that email.
There was a couple of questions that came in. So yes, if we sent a last minute one through text, we're trying that as well. We will always send an email though as well. So we'll blast out that email. Most of the communication will come through email. Start time for school 7:40, and we get out at 2:15. And clubs, yeah, nothing is open yet. So assume for right now, the start of September, nothing yet, but probably by the end of September, they'll get going. So there'll be some sort of communication about clubs coming out mid-September, say.
And Wakefield Academy communication comes from Estelle Burdick. She is the director of Wakefield Academy. So that if you're looking for kind of your general after school care, which is, particularly popular in the fifth grade, that comes from Estelle. And then the clubs, you'll see as this year gets started, information about clubs that are starting up kind of as we get started in September.
Ooh, good question. I assume that they got their first choice for musical
What's the
It's usually
question?
it'll be in their schedule too.
but it'll be in the schedule, true.
Oh, instruments, yeah. That will be in their schedule. If you have questions kind of leading up to September 2nd, you can reach out to us about any of those particulars once you see your child's schedule. Okay. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us. This recording will go out. And also, I shared the link for the slide deck because I know there were links in there, so you probably need the link to get to the links. But we'll also email it out. So if you missed it, like within the chat, no worries. We'll email all of that information out. The best way to reach us, I just saw that question, email. Email is probably best. You can call also. We're at this point, the four of us are always here. But email you can kind of do as you're thinking of stuff. And I saw Greg just shared and Andrew their emails there. All right. So thank you all again. We're really, really looking forward to the start of school. It's always a long and short summer, but we look forward to when kids are back here and it kind of comes alive again. So again, please reach out to any of us as we get closer to the start of school, and we look forward to a great year with you all. Right.
Yeah, we're gonna send this presentation out. Definitely.
Yes, all of it's coming out, and in addition to the recording and the slide deck.
Thanks, everyone. Wow, everyone's so nice. Everyone's like,
Thanks, everyone.
hey, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you all.
welcome.
Enjoy the end of your summer, everybody.
Tons of summer. Tons of summer. No worries. We're gonna send it out.
It was two. You're gonna end it.
I'm in it. Here we go. All right, bye everyone.